I never thought the words "I need a break" could destroy 4 years of love and trust in an instant. 6 months ago, I was on top of the world, engaged to Jessica, my partner of 3 years, with our dream home purchased, and a lifetime of happiness ahead of us. I was a successful software developer at 32, deeply in love, and certain about my future, until that conversation changed everything. Let me know where you are watching from, and hit that like button if you have ever had your trust broken by someone you loved. I met Jessica at my friend Kyle's housewarming party 4 years ago. She walked in wearing a blue dress that matched her eyes, and I was immediately drawn to her, not just because of her looks, but the way she carried herself, confident yet approachable. We ended up talking for hours that night, discovering we shared a love for obscure indie films and Thai food. Jessica was intelligent and ambitious, working as a marketing executive for a growing tech company downtown. Our early dating phase was filled with those magical moments new couples treasure. We would spend hours in corner coffee shops, discussing everything from childhood memories to our career aspirations. We hiked trails in the local state park on weekends, taking pictures of the stunning views and each other. For our 3-month anniversary, I surprised her with a weekend getaway to a coastal town where we walked the beach at sunset and made plans to return someday. Jessica seemed perfect in every way. She was supportive when I had tough deadlines at work, bringing me dinner at the office and massaging my shoulders when I got home. She was kind to everyone from waiters to the elderly neighbor in my building who needed help with groceries. We shared similar values about family, wanting 2 or 3 kids someday, and agreed on the importance of our careers. After dating for 18 months, moving in together felt like the natural next step. We found a cozy 2-bedroom apartment with a small balcony where Jessica planted herbs and flowers. Waking up next to her every morning, sharing breakfast before work, and coming home to her at night made me realize how much I wanted this to be my forever. We developed our own little traditions together. Sunday brunches, where we would try a new restaurant each week. Holiday decorating parties, where we would invite friends over to help trim the Christmas tree while drinking mulled wine. Summer barbecues on our small balcony grill. Each tradition strengthened our bond and built our shared history. About 2 years into our relationship, I lost my job when my company downsized unexpectedly. I was devastated and worried about how we would manage financially. Jessica never wavered in her support. She helped me update my resume, practiced interview questions with me, and connected me with people in her professional network. Thanks to her encouragement and connections, I found an even better position at a more stable company within a month. Her belief in me during that difficult time made me love her even more. As our relationship deepened, we talked more seriously about our future. Marriage came up naturally in conversation. We discussed timelines for having children, our thoughts on education, and where we might want to settle long term. We both agreed that buying a house before getting married made financial sense. These conversations felt easy and exciting, as we seemed aligned on all the important things. After 3 years together, I decided to propose. I planned an elaborate surprise during our vacation to Lake Tahoe. I arranged for a private boat tour at sunset, with champagne and her favorite chocolate-covered strawberries. When the boat reached the middle of the lake with the mountains creating a perfect backdrop, I got down on one knee and asked Jessica to marry me. The ring was a princess-cut diamond with sapphires on either side, a design I had noticed her admiring months before. Jessica's eyes filled with tears as she said yes. She threw her arms around me, almost knocking us both into the lake. Later that evening, we called our families and closest friends to share the news. Everyone was thrilled for us, especially her parents, who had been hinting about grandchildren for at least a year. With the engagement official, we accelerated our house hunting efforts. After touring dozens of properties, we found our dream home, a beautiful colonial-style house with 4 bedrooms and a spacious yard where future children could play. The neighborhood had excellent schools and was only a 20-minute drive from both our workplaces. We stretched our budget a bit, but the investment seemed worth it for the life we were building together. As we settled into our new home and began planning the wedding, I felt certain about our future together. Jessica was everything I wanted in a partner, and I believed we had the foundation for a lifetime of happiness. I had no idea that in just a few short months, everything would change. 6 months into our engagement, I began noticing subtle changes in Jessica's behavior. It started with small things that I initially brushed off as wedding stress or work pressure. She became less affectionate, rarely initiating kisses or saying, "I love you" first. When I would reach for her hand, there was a slight hesitation before she took it. Her phone became a constant companion, more so than usual. She would quickly turn the screen away when I walked into the room or entered our bedroom. When text notifications came through, she would glance at them furtively and sometimes excuse herself to respond in private. Once I jokingly asked if she was planning a surprise for me, and her nervous laugh seemed forced. Jessica started going out more frequently for girls' nights with her friends. These had always been part of our relationship. I valued her maintaining her friendships, but now they were happening 2 or 3 times a week, and she would return home much later than before, sometimes smelling faintly of cologne that was not mine. Around this time, she began mentioning her college ex-boyfriend Ryan. They had dated for nearly 3 years before breaking up due to career opportunities in different cities. According to Jessica, they had recently reconnected on social media. At first, it was just casual references. Ryan posted about that restaurant we liked, or Ryan sent me a funny meme about marketing. When I asked about their renewed contact, Jessica was quick to explain that they were just friends, and that many exes maintain healthy friendships. "He is dating someone new anyway," she assured me. I felt a prickle of discomfort but pushed it aside. I trusted Jessica completely and did not want to come across as controlling or insecure. The first real red flag appeared during a dinner party with Jessica's work colleagues. Her friend Megan had too many glasses of wine and casually mentioned, "That lunch with Ryan must have been interesting. He always was charming." Jessica shot Megan a sharp look, and the conversation awkwardly shifted to another topic. Later that night, I asked Jessica about the lunch Megan had mentioned. She became defensive immediately. "It was just lunch, Derek. Do I need to report every meal I have to you now?" When I pointed out she had never mentioned meeting Ryan in person, she downplayed it. "We were both downtown for meetings. It was nothing. Do not be so insecure." As weeks passed, I noticed Jessica becoming increasingly critical of our wedding plans. When we discussed potential venues, she found fault with all of them. Too expensive, too common, too far for guests to travel. When I suggested we set a date, she insisted we should wait until things settled down at work, or after wedding season next year for better prices. Each conversation ended with our wedding date being pushed further into the future. Meanwhile, Jessica spent less and less time at home. On weekends, she would suddenly remember errands that needed immediate attention. Our Sunday brunches became a thing of the past. When I suggested a date night to reconnect, she would agree half-heartedly but often be too tired, or have a sudden deadline when the day arrived. One evening I came home early from a work event and found Jessica sitting on our bed, looking through old photos on her laptop. From the doorway, I could see they were pictures of her and Ryan from their college days, hiking trips, formal dances, beach, vacations. When she noticed me, she quickly closed the laptop and acted as if she had been checking work emails. "Why were you looking at old pictures of you and Ryan?" I asked, trying to keep my voice casual despite the knot forming in my stomach. Jessica's face flushed with anger. "Are you spying on me now? I was just reminiscing about college. Is that a crime?" Her disproportionate reaction only increased my anxiety. Friends began noticing the change in our dynamic. My buddy Tom pulled me aside at his birthday gathering and asked if everything was okay between Jessica and me. "You guys seem off somehow," he observed. "She barely looked at you all night and left early without saying goodbye to anyone." I made excuses about work stress, but his concern planted seeds of worry that grew stronger each day. In a last-ditch effort to reconnect, I planned a romantic weekend getaway to the coastal town where we had spent our 3-month anniversary. I booked the same oceanfront bed and breakfast, made reservations at her favorite seafood restaurant, and even contacted a photographer to capture sunset pictures on the beach. 2 days before we were set to leave, Jessica called to say she could not go because of an emergency project at work that required her presence over the weekend. That same weekend, I saw on social media that her friend Megan had posted pictures from a girls' trip to a local winery. Jessica was noticeably absent from these photos, despite allegedly being too busy with work to go away with me. When I called her office on Saturday under the pretense of surprising her with lunch, her assistant informed me Jessica had taken the day off. Something was clearly wrong with our relationship, but I still did not want to believe what was becoming increasingly obvious. I held on to hope that we could work through whatever was happening. I never imagined how completely my trust was being betrayed. The breaking point came on a Tuesday evening in April. Jessica had texted that she would be home late due to a client dinner, something that had become increasingly common. I had made myself a simple dinner and was watching a basketball game when I heard her key in the lock just after 10. Instead of heading upstairs to change as she usually did, Jessica came directly into the living room. She turned off the television and sat on the edge of the coffee table facing me. Her expression was serious, almost clinical. "Derek, we need to have an important conversation." She began, her voice steady and rehearsed. "I have been doing a lot of thinking about us, about the wedding, about our future." My stomach tightened as she continued, each word hitting me like a physical blow. "I need a break from our engagement," Jessica stated, twisting the diamond ring on her finger. "Ryan and I have been talking a lot lately, and I have realized I still have feelings for him that I need to explore." I sat there, stunned, unable to form words, as she continued her practiced speech. "I am not saying I do not want to marry you eventually," she clarified, as if that made everything better. "I just need some time, maybe a few months, to figure out what might still be there with Ryan. I need to be sure before we get married. It would be unfair to both of us if I had these unresolved feelings." The room seemed to tilt around me. My chest felt crushed, like I could not pull in enough air. "You want to pause our engagement so you can date your ex?" I finally managed to ask, hoping I had somehow misunderstood. Jessica nodded, her expression eerily calm. "I think it is the mature thing to do. Ryan and I have history, and before I commit to you for life, I need to know if those feelings are real or just nostalgia." "How long have you been thinking about this?" I asked, my voice barely audible. "A few months," she admitted. "I have already talked to my parents and a few friends about it. They understand this is something I need to do." The casual way she revealed that others knew before me was another knife to the heart. While I had been planning our life together, she had been planning her exit strategy. "What about our house? Our wedding plans?" I asked, gesturing to our living room, the home we had chosen together, the furniture we had picked out as a couple. "We can keep living here together," Jessica suggested, as if it were the most reasonable idea in the world. "It makes financial sense. We can just be like roommates for a while until I figure things out." I stared at her, wondering how the woman I thought I knew could be so cold, so detached from the pain she was causing. "And you will be dating Ryan while living in our home?" "The home we bought for our future family. I would see Ryan a few times a week," she confirmed. "I will be discreet about it. You will hardly notice." I would hardly notice my fiancé dating another man while wearing my ring. The absurdity of her suggestion might have been laughable if it were not so heartbreaking. "How is that supposed to work, Jessica? Will you be sleeping with him too?" The question burst out before I could stop it. Her hesitation told me everything. "We have not discussed the physical aspects yet," she said carefully, "but I need to be free to explore the relationship fully." "So you want me to wait around as your backup plan while you see if things work out with Ryan?" The anger finally began to break through my shock. "And if things do not work out with him, you will just come back and pick up where we left off with our wedding?" Jessica had the audacity to look offended. "I am trying to be honest with you, Derek. This is the right thing to do before marriage. Would you rather I hide these feelings and resent you later? Many people would just cheat, so I should be grateful that you are asking permission." First, I stood up, needing physical distance from her. "Do you hear yourself? Do you understand what you are doing to me, to us?" "You are overreacting," Jessica sighed. "This is why I was hesitant to tell you. I knew you would make it all about you instead of understanding that this is something I need." Her complete lack of empathy stunned me. This woman who had once held me when I lost my job, who had wiped away my tears when my grandmother died, now could not see or care about the pain she was causing. The final devastating blow came later that night. Jessica had gone upstairs to take a shower, leaving her phone on the kitchen counter. It was unlocked, a rare occurrence these days. A text notification from Ryan appeared on the screen. "Last night was amazing. Cannot wait to see you again tomorrow." With shaking hands, I opened the message thread. The exchanges left no doubt that Jessica and Ryan had already been intimate multiple times over the past month. There were detailed messages about their encounters, plans for future meetings, and even discussions about the possibility of him moving into our house if things continued well between them. When Jessica came downstairs, I held up her phone with the messages visible. "You have already been sleeping with him," I said, my voice flat. "This is not about exploring feelings. You have already made your choice." Jessica snatched her phone away, her face flushing with anger rather than shame. "You had no right to look at my private messages," she shouted, "and you had no right to betray our engagement. Yet, here we are," I replied. "This is why I turned to Ryan," she hissed. "He understands me. He does not smother me or make me feel guilty for having my own life. This would not have happened if you were more attentive to my needs, instead of always focusing on your perfect vision of our future." I stood there, absorbing the fact that she was now blaming me for her betrayal. Without another word, Jessica grabbed her purse and car keys. "I am staying with a friend tonight," she announced. "Maybe when I come back tomorrow, you will be ready to discuss this like adults." The door slammed behind her, and I knew exactly whose house she was going to. I was left alone in the home we had bought for our future, surrounded by the shattered pieces of what I thought was a loving relationship. After Jessica left, I sat motionless on our living room couch for hours, staring at the engagement photos displayed on our mantel. The smiling couple in those pictures now seemed like strangers to me. Around 3 in the morning, after cycling through shock, devastation, and anger, I experienced a moment of clarity that would guide my next actions. I deserved better than being someone's backup plan. With this realization, a sense of calm determination replaced my anguish. As soon as the clock hit 8, I called Amanda, the real estate agent who had helped us purchase our home 7 months earlier. I explained that due to unforeseen circumstances, I needed to list the house immediately. "This is unusual," Amanda said, concern evident in her voice. "You and Jessica just bought this place. Are you sure about this?" "Completely sure," I replied. "How quickly can we list it?" Amanda explained that the market was currently strong, and with some quick preparations we could have the house listed within a week. She recommended a slightly lower price point than market value if we wanted a truly quick sale. My next call was to my friend Michael, who worked as a family lawyer. While he did not specialize in engagement dissolutions, he offered valuable advice about my legal options regarding the house and the engagement ring. "In our state, engagement rings are considered conditional gifts," Michael explained. "Since she's the one breaking the engagement legally, the ring should be returned to you." He also recommended I document everything about our joint finances and the circumstances of our breakup just to protect myself. "Given what you've told me, I think selling the house is wise. Just make sure all paperwork is handled properly since both your names are on the deed." With legal advice in mind, I began executing my plan methodically. First, I visited the bank to separate our finances. Jessica and I had maintained individual accounts, but had opened a joint account for household expenses. I transferred my portion of the funds back to my personal account and removed my name from the joint account. Next, I called the credit card companies where we had shared cards and removed myself as an authorized user. I then contacted the wedding venue we had tentatively reserved and explained the situation. The sympathetic event coordinator waived the cancellation fee after hearing my story. One by one, I notified vendors we had spoken with: the caterer, the photographer, the florist. Most were understanding, with several mentioning they had seen similar situations before. A few even refunded deposits that I had assumed were non-refundable. Before Jessica moved in, I had stored some family heirlooms in the spare bedroom closet, including my grandmother's vintage music box and my great-grandfather's pocket watch. I carefully packed these irreplaceable items and delivered them to my parents' house for safekeeping. Telling my family about the broken engagement was difficult but necessary. My mother cried not just for the lost relationship but for the pain I was experiencing. My father, typically stoic, put his arm around me and said simply, "Her loss, son. You will find someone who deserves you." My closest friends rallied around me immediately. Tom offered his guest room until I found a new place. Kyle helped me research short-term rental options. Their unwavering support strengthened my resolve to handle this situation with dignity. Through a college friend who worked in real estate, I found a furnished short-term rental apartment across town. The lease terms were flexible, exactly what I needed while figuring out my next steps. I signed the papers and received the keys that same day. The timing worked in my favor. Jessica had texted that she would be staying with friends for a few more days to give me space to process. I knew she was with Ryan, and was grateful for the opportunity to move my essential belongings without a confrontation. In 3 efficient trips, I moved my clothes, personal items, electronics, and a few books to the rental apartment. I left the furniture and household items we had purchased together in the house, to maximize its selling potential. On the kitchen counter, I placed Jessica's engagement ring, alongside a simple, handwritten note I deserve to be someone's first choice, not their backup plan. The house is being listed for sale. Please contact Amanda regarding your share of the proceeds once sold. Do not contact me directly. True to Amanda's prediction, our house received multiple offers within days of listing. The red-hot housing market worked in our favor, and we accepted an offer slightly above our asking price. The buyers requested a quick closing, which aligned perfectly with my plans to make a clean break. As the sale moved forward, I made another significant decision: I would leave town entirely. My company had offices in several cities, and I had always been curious about Denver. A quick conversation with my manager revealed an opening in the Denver office that matched my skills and experience. I submitted my transfer request and was approved within days. Within 3 weeks of that devastating conversation with Jessica, I had set the stage for my complete disappearance from her life. The house sale was preceding my job. Transfer was approved, and my new apartment in Denver was secured. I had methodically untangled every aspect of our intertwined lives, all without a single direct interaction with the woman I had planned to marry. As I packed my car for the drive to Colorado, I felt a mix of sadness and liberation. The life I had planned was gone, but I was reclaiming my dignity and self-respect by refusing to be anyone's second choice. The fallout began the day after I left town. Jessica returned to find the house staged for showings, her engagement ring on the counter, and me completely gone. According to our mutual friends, she was initially furious, calling me irresponsible and impulsive for listing our house without consulting her. Her anger quickly turned to panic when she realized I was serious about cutting ties completely. She called my phone repeatedly, leaving voicemails that evolved from angry demands to tearful pleas. I listened to the first few but soon stopped. Each message followed the same pattern, focusing on her feelings, her confusion, her needs with little acknowledgement of how deeply she had hurt me. "You cannot just disappear like this, Derek. We need to talk about this like adults," one message insisted. "This is our house. You had no right to list it without discussing it with me first," claimed another. Eventually the tone shifted. "Please call me back. I think I made a mistake. Ryan is not what I remembered. Please, can we just talk?" I maintained my silence. Any response would only reopen the wound that I was trying desperately to heal. Through mutual friends, I learned that Ryan had quickly lost interest once Jessica was actually available. What had been exciting as a forbidden reconnection apparently lost its appeal when it became reality. Within 2 weeks, he had backed away, claiming he wasn't ready for something serious right now. Jessica then launched a campaign to win me back, telling friends she had made the biggest mistake of her life, and that she just needed to explore those feelings to know for sure that I was the one. She even enlisted her parents to call my parents, claiming there had been a misunderstanding about the whole situation. I asked my friends and family to respect my decision for no contact. Most understood, though. A few suggested I at least hear her out. "People make mistakes," they said. But I knew this wasn't a simple mistake. It was a fundamental betrayal of trust and a clear indication of how Jessica viewed our relationship. Meanwhile, I was building my new life in Denver. My apartment was small but modern, with mountain views that still took my breath away months after moving in. The new office welcomed me, and I threw myself into work, volunteering for challenging projects that kept my mind occupied during those difficult first months. The loneliness was crushing at times. I would wake up reaching for someone who wasn't there. Weekends stretched empty before me without the routines and traditions that had structured my life with Jessica. I found myself in a city where I knew no one, starting from scratch at 32. On my therapist's recommendation, I joined a hiking group to meet new people and take advantage of Colorado's natural beauty. Those Saturday morning hikes became my lifeline. The physical exertion, the stunning landscapes, and the gradual formation of new friendships slowly rebuilt my sense of self and possibility. 6 months after my move, an email from Jessica appeared in my inbox. Unlike her earlier messages, this one was thoughtful and showed some genuine reflection. "Derek, I know you probably won't respond to this, and I understand why. I'm writing not to ask for anything, but to acknowledge how deeply I hurt you. What I did was selfish and cruel. I threw away something precious for a fantasy that wasn't real. I've spent months in therapy trying to understand why I would sabotage the best relationship I've ever had. I don't expect forgiveness, but I wanted you to know that I recognize the pain I caused, and I'm truly sorry. I hope you're finding happiness wherever you are." As I read her words, I realized something significant. I felt nothing but a distant pity. The email didn't trigger the pain or anger I had expected. Jessica had lost her power over my emotions. I never responded but saved the email as a reminder of how far I had come. 1 year after leaving my old life behind, I attended a work conference in Seattle. During a panel discussion on software innovation, I met Ashley, a UX designer whose insightful questions caught my attention. We ended up talking through dinner and discovered a shared love of obscure documentaries and rock climbing, a hobby I had picked up in Denver. When Ashley gave me her number, I hesitated only briefly before saving it in my phone. The next day I texted her about a documentary series we had discussed. Our conversations flowed easily despite the distance between Denver and her home in Portland. After a month of texts and video calls, I suggested meeting halfway for a weekend. We spent 2 days hiking and exploring Boise, getting to know each other without the pressure of expectations. Ashley was different from Jessica in important ways. She was straightforward about her feelings and expectations. When something bothered her, she addressed it directly rather than withdrawing or making excuses. Most importantly, she never made me feel like an option or a backup plan. I took things slowly, cautious about rushing into another serious relationship. I was honest with Ashley about my past and my lingering trust issues. She listened without judgment and shared her own relationship history, including a divorce that had left her wary of commitment. "We can both be careful without being closed off," she suggested. "Let's just be honest with each other every step of the way." That approach, careful but open, became our relationship philosophy. We maintained our separate homes in different cities for the first year, visiting each other twice monthly, and building a foundation of trust through consistent actions rather than grand promises. Through rebuilding my life and starting a new relationship, I learned valuable lessons about self-respect and healthy boundaries. I recognized that walking away from Jessica, while painful, was an act of self-love. By refusing to accept a relationship where I was the backup option, I opened myself to the possibility of finding someone who would choose me first every day. The peace that came from that decision was worth every moment of pain and loneliness that preceded it. I discovered that sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to walk away from someone who sees you as an option. Looking back on that devastating night when Jessica asked for a break to explore her feelings for Ryan, I can now see it as a painful gift. Without that moment of clarity, I might have spent years or even decades with someone who was never fully committed to our relationship. Sometimes life's most painful moments lead us exactly where we need to be. In my case, a broken engagement led to a stronger sense of self-worth, a beautiful new city to call home, and eventually a relationship built on mutual respect and genuine choice, rather than convenience or fear. And if you are watching this and facing a similar situation, remember, you deserve to be someone's first choice. Anything less is not worth your precious time and heart. Have you ever had to walk away from someone to preserve your self-respect? Let me know in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit the like button and subscribe to hear more stories of overcoming betrayal and finding self-worth. Thank you for listening to my story. And remember, choosing yourself is never selfish when someone else has made you an option.